Yeah, we on, everybody. We on. We are in. Let's get this music going.
We protect game, don't follow those. Move them numbers on that El Chapo. We don't stop, no. Count it up, never listen to a lame. How that sound to us? We protect game, don't follow those. Move them numbers on that El Chapo. We don't stop, no. Count it up, yeah. Never listen to a lame. How that sound to us? Yeah, look. Me listen to a lame, how that sound to us. Ape City 2020, yeah, we counting up. Had to get to the back, then ran it up. Try to play me, Glock don't back him up. AP on my wrist, yeah, I'm acting up. Yeah, I heard niggas mad, start backing tough. El Chapo, I send a nigga up. Midnight, broad day, I don't give a fuck. Blessed, yes, I'm feeling blessed. Look at my wrist and my neck, I kill me a nigga and die with respect. You talking about gas, but you not a threat. 762s turn you to a mess. I'm trying to run up this check, and these niggas mad, I took off like a jet. I did it all for the fam. You niggas know who I am. ACD bitches the clan. I'm trying to get to these bands. Niggas gon' hate, but they really some fans. Got a gun, but I heard you a runner. Hella broke, damn that's a bummer. Ape City, he been hitting numbers. And this shit gon' turn up for summer. We protect game, don't follow those. Move them numbers on that El Chapo. We don't stop, no. Count it up, never listen to a lame. How that sound to us? We protect game, don't follow those. Move them numbers on that El Chapo. We don't stop, no. Count it up, never listen to a lame. How that sound to us? Yeah.
Hello.
Gentlemen, you fight well.
Hello.
It's a lazy afternoon. Just the kind of a day made for loving you. Soon the evening breezes will start to blow. Baby, grab your hat now, 'cause here we go.
Place that I see right before my dreams. Disbelief leaves without making a scene. Fantasy begins to be a normal thing, like picking up chicks. I'm a wolf with wings and a fat lady. You know the one that sings. I got around my iPod next to Easy E. I sit myself under the palm trees, cooler than a fall breeze. Get the calm, shove it calmly. Trees gooey as a baby sneeze. I'm maybe playing on my knees around the bacon grease, roaming through the tall fields of the wildebeest. A backpack full of plays, man, I need to eat. About to peel off my paracletes, send a message in the sky and some parakeets. Gonna rest, relax, I'm never coming back. I watch color wings flap till they disappear, and I'm into my dream.
I'm gambling with my life like a paradise. Just to get to paradise, I swear I'm nice. I like vanilla ice cream, hate vanilla ice. Baby, age me kinda crazy. I'm kinda loco, I hate the popo. Yo, I love my girls though. What up, tweez? Yee! It's been a while since you heard words that spit this wild. I be playing with you kids, I'm a hip-hop pet. Off the hook every time that I spit it. Fan pop the head even if they didn't get it. I kick it like Pele. I got homies in the O and LA. Age is the shit, you can't tell me a thing. I love how niggas really can sing.
Ooh, I love the things you do.
Gentlemen,
Baby, don't stop, don't you dare. No.
Yep, this is Anna's Historical Podcast. It's your boy DJ Rowe. We're gonna keep this going.
Make my bed, but you ain't sleeping.
Daylight.
You couldn't.
We're gonna call this Eve.
If your feet was in them. Everybody in the world want a decent living. Just a few 1% that be overspending. As an artist, I just wanna be represented. Everybody got a story, so just let me finish. Pouring tears in your ears from the pain I witnessed. Where's the change? Where's the growth? If I had a wish list, I just want us all to know that we could be the difference. Calling me the empress, I am not your temptress. If you selling ass, that means you selling units. Now I think I'll pass. I never trusted Tunix. Riding dusty Buicks, wondering if I was clueless. Except for share got paid, my piety was useless. I ain't brave for crudeness. See, the honest truth is, the world is ruthless. If you give them what they want, your coop is ruthless. See, we all name Eve, but that card is fruitless. In the empty movement, no chance of improvement. Instant gratify, never satisfied. Always tempted, by what you visualize. Now it's on my mind, I see it in his eyes. See that Chevy part. It got him offering the world, but the moment is for sale. Is it even worth the time? I'm intentionally making all these moves. You see, the initial steps I'm taking just to get my mind free. Really Neo in the Matrix, I'm a holy trinity. Mind, body, and soul, that's my real commodity. One-eyed man who think he see, new age man who think I'm free. Separating from the pack like Moses separate the sea. Segregating from the back, only hustlers sit with me. Y'all got mad cause y'all got lazy, I got focused and I zoomed. I was working, crying, grinding, you was looking for a groom. Tried to pull me, pick me poison, you ain't wanna see me bloom. I ain't always stay so faithful, pray my way out like the room. Was surrounded by the darkness, now I'm lighting up the room. Suicidal, rape, depression, but you know me for my smile. God said I could wear no heels, I just ran a couple miles. I ain't bragging, I ain't perfect, I got love for who deserve it. If it's warranted, I'll serve it. If you slithering, I'm swerving. See, we all name Eve, but that card is fruitless. In the empty movement, no chance of improvement. Instant gratify, never satisfied. Always tempted, by what you visualize. Now it's in my mind, I see it in his eyes. See that Chevy part. It got him offering the world, but the moment is for sale. Is it even worth the time?
A stupid rapper is a motherfucker that has somebody else tell them what to do, which is not always wrong, but if it's something that you feel that you don't have to do, you really have to question it and find out why you should do it. Most niggas, they feel like, well, you see what Biggie's doing, you know, he has the hat, the camo, and this, you have to be like that. But if you don't really want to be like that, you don't have to.
Yeah, you swing. I'm crazy, in the hood strapped up, I'm crazy. Moving bricks like what? Like crazy. Got a trunk full of guns, full of crazy. I'm local, I'm crazy. In the hood strapped up, I'm crazy. Moving bricks like what? Like crazy. Got a trunk full of guns, like crazy. I'm local, I'm crazy.
Jeans, I'm on none. Sipping lean, I'm on one. Selling drugs and busting guns. Cinnamon tips up in the drum. He was bumping his guns, put one in his lung. I'm a real factor, you a real actor. You rap about it, I trap about it. Highway made my track about it. SSB, I'm a real hitter. When it comes to tree, I'm a babysitter. When it comes to cocaine, I'm a crazy nigga. When it comes to this money, I'm a shady nigga. Kill your ass, try to play me, nigga. Rock your ass off gravy, nigga. LB, they raised me. That's why I'm naming. Rap ain't what pays me. The trap is what pays me. No hustle cause you lazy. Jealousy don't faze me. For the care, have you pushing up daisies. Real in the streets, y'all for gazes. Put a piss in your face, cause I'm just crazy. Take the chain, then I'm swayed.
I'm crazy, in the hood strapped up, I'm crazy. Moving bricks like what? Like crazy. Got a trunk full of guns, full of crazy. I'm local, I'm crazy. In the hood strapped up, I'm crazy. Moving bricks like what? Like crazy. Got a trunk full of guns, full of crazy. I'm local.
Rapping, it's nasty. Yeah, I'm a divine freak. Your girl always know how to find me. Taking bitches down is my hobby. Don't give me head if it ain't sloppy. Yeah, I'm a divine freak. Your girl always know how to find me. Taking bitches down is my hobby. Don't give me head if it ain't sloppy. Once upon a time, not long ago, I went to buy a couple swishers from the Coney store. But oh no, what is this that I see? Two big booty Amazons waving at me. Ooh wee, bye bye. Look at them big lips, hips and thighs. I wonder why I gotta be like that. My bitch is waiting at the room and she's already mad. Instead of writing phone numbers with a pen and paper, I got a business card. Bitch, call me later. My bitch got a habit of always checking my pocket. She knows about my pimpin' ways and she's trying to stop it, but oh no, it's never not gonna happen. I'll be a thug, next nigga till I'm tired of macking. So either you can bounce to this or roll yourself another blunt, smoke an ounce of this. Come on, I'm a divine freak. Your girl always know how to find me. Taking bitches down is my hobby. Don't give me head if it ain't sloppy. Yeah, I'm a divine freak. Your girl always know how to find me. Taking bitches down is my hobby. Don't give me head if it ain't sloppy. Okay, now here's the whole situation. I brought condoms, forgot flavored lubrication. They love oral sex and anal penetration. That's what they told me on the three-way phone conversation. So I set up a date, we can hook on up. They both said they really like me and they wanted to fuck. I said cool, we can keep this on the hush, but let's all keep in mind, say sex is a must. I got 2 free bi bitches in my bed. One sucking on my nipples, one's giving me hit. Then we suck, then we fuck, then we fuck, then we suck till we all passed out, getting multiple nuts. I'm so nasty for life and I mean it. I smoke my weed to the face, no one else will need it. Make a lot of porn flicks, you done probably seen it. Shit, that pussy clean with some soap, girl, I eat it. Yeah, I'm a divine freak. Your girl always know how to find me. Take bitches down is my hobby. Don't give me head if it ain't sloppy. Yeah, I'm a divine freak. Your girl always know how to find me. Take bitches down is my hobby. Don't give me head if it ain't sloppy.
This is a tragedy. I can only imagine what these parents are going through. I think all of us have to do some soul searching to figure out how does something like this happen.
This is Anna's historical podcast. Let's go.
I'm a pot smoking, disrespectful asshole. From the bay, but left my heart in Castro. Busy writing lyrics, washing dishes for the cash flow. Hard to keep track of the goddamn gram smoke. But I gotta stay sane. You be with your dogs, I be with my Great Danes. They all call me Cash, I be trying to make change. For the move to LA, they all do the same name as me. Was recorded with Don and Jay Lee. Jay Lee had about a half recording these songs. And maybe have to roll the blunt and two. Minimum talking, the smoking doesn't stop even after your mama walking blunts. I still being passed, still coughing, promising we gon' be real till we in coffins. Tryna make a slap that the movie girls can vibe to. R.I.P. my nigga, you know Mookie had to slide through. You know Spitter had to rhyme too. Me and my homies say the thing that you're blind to. It's like you're blindfold, it's like your mind's full. I got my mind full cause I stay mindful. Get stung if you threaten my beehive. Hate and get this and kiss my black behind. Good vibes, feeling better than a weed high. Trying to shoot some birdies but don't know when the tea time is. Trying to be the best since we was kids. Trying to beat the rest but too busy getting lit. Trying to cheat the test and next to certain kids. Looking over shoulders, finish early, wasting time. Was supposed to write an essay but too busy writing rhymes. In the corner reminiscing, rapping about the different times. I was later underrated. If you hate it, you could die. And I'm kidding, but listen when the nigga on the mic. Cause I got shit I gotta say. It's been a few years, still got homies in the A. She was talking about some shows, me and Magic like okay. Feeling comfy in these clothes as I'm sitting in this cave. Getting hot for all the lows that I witness every day. I got love for where I stay, but I gotta move away. I was cheaper in the desert, so I'm living in the bay. Cause the people in the desert look at you at different ways. And I hate it, rather walk down Market Street. Seeing people negative, you walk down Market Street. See me with my tape in my backpack, double tree. Switching flavor grape, having flashbacks, making tracks up at Spotty Bay. Drop the
He had to say his name. What you doing? Putting the V on the map. I got the V on my back. I come kill your party for a couple of stacks. I go hella hard to put the V on the map. What you doing? Putting the V on the map. I got the V on my back. I come kill your party for a couple of stacks. I go hella hard to put the V on the map. I go hella hard to put the V on the map. I'll come to your party with the knockers and slaps. When I go hella hard, and you knowin' that though. Mr. Management, I told this girl drop it low. I want that ass to move, I wanna see you groove. I'm from the RBR camp, man, I told you dudes. We on the move, going fast in the fast lane. Smoking on some gas, man, it's burning like some propane. Backwoods, rolled up, married to the Mary Jane. On a mission for the money, trying to get the chickens up. Feeling like Earl and Furl, your girl give me the pearl. Because she see me on my grind, trying to run the world. I'm on some white sand, drink with some chicks in bikinis. And you see me somewhere, trying to look Kundalini. I'm a boss man, chest game, don't need you to key me. Put the V on my back, last night should've seen me. What you doing? Putting the V on the map. I got the V on my back. I come kill your party for a couple of stacks. I go hella hard to put the V on the map. What you doing? Putting the V on the map. I got the V on my back. I come kill your party for a couple of stacks. I go hella hard to put the V on the map. Cooler than the other side. Cold and frigid. Yeah. I feel like I'm chosen. I'm dipping, I'm golden. Man, boy, he keep rolling. Y'all keep strolling. These niggas keep trolling. All these hoes keep trolling. I feel like I'm chosen. I'm dipping, I'm golden. Man, boy, he keep rolling. Y'all keep strolling. These niggas keep trolling. All these hoes keep trolling. Why they keep trolling? So quick to dismiss you. I really don't see what be the issue. I'm on the move, criteria busy. Look at him, throwing the game in a tizzy. Vallejo General, Mr. Manish, with a Latin ass, speaking Spanish. Up at straight shooters, looking at raw hooters. Can't drink a blue drink, I could tutor. I could learn you, I could teach you how. Tell him, no ice, pal. Gardner, I pitch a no-hitter. My rhymes are shit, I wrote them on the shitter. My mom said, boy, never be a quitter. My dad taught me hustle, now I'm a winner. I'm going hella hard. You see me, I need me a nice house and a girl in the I feel like I'm chosen. I'm dipping, I'm golden. Man, boy, he keep rolling. Y'all keep strolling. These niggas keep trolling. All these hoes keep trolling. I feel like I'm chosen. I'm dipping, I'm golden. Man, boy, he keep rolling. Y'all keep strolling. These niggas keep trolling. All these hoes keep trolling.
Let me tell you this.
I'm a woman of very few words, and that's saying a lot.
Living in the underground, always looking up. Currently the world just ain't enough. Been holding on to love and to trust, but life's far from just numb and rough. Been grinding just to move on up, when reality hands out heavy fucking slugs. Testing the internal fortitude of my intestines. Blessings don't lessen the pain of the lessons. I'll only switch up to flip up my middle finger. Fuck it, the game and I are no strangers. Won't let this go for death and no danger. It's my time, I'll fucking spit for 5 fingers. Cause who needs the light of a lighter when you can light a fire with a cipher? And I am the direction of the future, so let me take you there like I'm the Uber.
I'm a woman of very few words, and that's saying a lot.
Everything worth living for is real. Make the choice, deal or no deal. You go get it before it's the final meal. Once it's gone for real. God gave me the strength to heal. Take this pain to turn the wheel. Make life one that truly feels like it's forever real.
Nobody ever believed he was real. Nobody ever knew him or saw anybody that ever worked directly for him. The greatest trick.
Down in the deep dark ooze, darkness sticks to the edge of my shoes. So I stomp on a twisted fantasy inflicted as I traverse through society's sickness. Trapped in a box alone as we roam, discovering buried bones of a past that's never shown. Suicidal spirits etch, we fear it on their bloody skin, with a note to their mother, father, next of kin. This is a game we can never win. We're born to die, our brains are fried from sin. Addictive personality disorder. Personally, these pills keep me on the border between this world and the one to come. Who really knows, cause life's holding us ransom. So we'll never see above the clouds, lost in a haze, fists raised to destructive crowd. Welcome to the Bay Area, that yay area. We break barriers cause we way scarier. With our great characters, we way spectacular. There once was a little Asian girl who came from the Bay. Now she's a great ass of woman who grew up from the 408. So you can be someone in New York, be someone else in LA. But when you come to SF, be yourself is pretty damn great. Okay, so she didn't care about her math or about her grades or being a lawyer or a doctor. She just really wanted to create. Turned 18 and got on her way. Went to an art college, being all gay. Experimenting, living in her lane. Now she was 415 every single day. Yay, 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 yay. Welcome to the Bay. This is the air to be in a nutshell. What else is there to say? Speak the realest shit ever. Then well, do you truly believe in her desire? This album, this bombshell. This is her fire. Listen to her excel. This is hip hop 106.1. This is KMEL. Yo, this girl from the Bay AA hitting your airwaves. You know, you must just give her your most undivided attention. Yes, cause she's all done asking for permission. She's all ready to bust. She's all ready to bust. You don't hear it all. You don't hear it all. She makes me sweat when she brings that heat. She's melting my head cause she's diving deep. She's too much fun, it ain't even the end of the week. I scream OMG, feel so strong, my knees get weak. I'm always chill when she puts that fire within. This fever dream experiencing the fire I'm in. Mouth open for my boo, she sees me, she screams. Give her that look like, woo, let's fuck this scene. I screw the boys, but I love this girl. My eyes on her as we rule the world. She's a vibe I gotta ride over and over again. Strap on, a real banger's coming again and again.
So I'm hyperventilating a little bit. If I fall over, pick me up because I've got some things to say.
So when people want to stop talking about the issues that black women face.
Yeah. What up, everybody? This your boy DJ Rowe. You're on Anna's Historical Radio Podcast. We're about to get this going. Let's get this started. Let's do this. Anna, you in the building, I see.
I sure am. Yep. Yeah. Oops. I need my trusty backdrop because I don't like everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Other than that, you got to cook everybody dinner.
I know, huh? Yeah, that would be scary. How you doing?
Good. And you?
Pretty good. Glad that I'm not in Seattle.
What's going down in Seattle?
Crazy heat wave in the Pacific Northwest. Like, it's 107 degrees in Seattle. Seattle never gets to the 3 digits. I never in my life has anything, do I remember that? I mean, 80 is hot in Seattle. It used to be. So, I mean, it's bad. Nobody has, getting started. Nobody has air conditioning in Seattle. It's just not done. Nobody has, in the Northwest, nobody has air conditioning and nobody has convertibles. So,
why does nobody have air conditioning? What's the reason?
Because it's not hot enough. I mean, it's never hot enough for it, or it never has been before. But now, I mean, thanks to lovely global warming, it's not the case.
They learned today, didn't they?
We sure did. The past several days. So, I mean, it's real severe up there because people just aren't used to it and people don't know how to take care of themselves. There's a lot of medical emergencies. And then what's sad about that is the medical emergency people need to be out, like taking care of other people. So it's called a heat dome, and it's something to do with, it's this complicated thing where the air makes a dome and traps the heat. So it's just even hot. So that's what makes it so hot. In Canada is 121 degrees. People have been dying I mean, it is no joke, really, really. So, I am sending my major good wishes and prayers to everybody there, man. Stay hydrated, people, please. And they're opening up. I mean, fortunately, like the art galleries are opening to be cooling centers. So, I mean, my dad's cool. So he's, the place he's in now has air conditioning. So he's just laying low. And then apparently my brother and his wife were out on their jet skis. Have you ever been on a jet ski?
No.
Yeah. Well, I've been on his like once, and I got seasick. I don't get seasick on boats, but I just got so sick to my stomach. We wanted to get off. So not for me, but that's what, and they really covered distances on it. So they've been doing that. And so they're good. So yeah, I mean, it's hot here, but nothing like that. So, pretty bad. So, yeah. And then in Vallejo, oh man. Okay, the city manager in Vallejo has been MIA for weeks. And a lot of people don't like this dude. And I'm real cautious about blaming people. I think a lot of the time, one person in government will be blamed for something, one or two people, and it's just never that simple. There's always a lot of complicated factors. A lot of the time, the system is a problem, not the person. I mean, individuals are stuck a lot of the time. So, that's not that bad. So, but yeah, he is, people thought he was on the take. So I'm like, well, why? Figure it out. Like, why, if somebody's corrupt, and the city managers, the concept came up to try and prevent good old boy networks of people being corrupt and getting kickbacks and all of that. But then unfortunately you need to worry about the city manager being corrupt. So so tonight there's a city council meeting, and they just had a closed one, which was supposed to be talking about this issue and whether the city manager might sue the city, or there's been a couple people that have left and are filing claims against him. And meanwhile, Vallejo has all those wrongful cop death suits to deal with. So I don't even know, man. Vallejo is crazy. So we'll be figuring
it out. What is it that they're saying that he did? Did he steal some money? I mean, what is it that they're blaming him for?
Well, they're blaming him for not making good deals for the city, like letting companies. There's property out on Mare Island. Maybe Kristen will come on because she remembers this more than me, but they're accusing him of letting that property go for not much money. So that's the sort of thing that will make me question, like, okay, if this is what he's doing, then why? Is he just bad at his job, or does he just have poor people skills and is bad at explaining stuff? Because that's a real nerdy job to have. I mean, yeah, so that's what people are accusing him of doing. People are accusing him of supporting the cops. There's the new cop station on Mare Island Way, which a lot of people are mad about. And the city council had directed him to hold off about moving in, even, which is stupid because they've already bought it. Okay, they've already bought the building. So, okay, is anybody listening? If anybody listening wants to point out to me, like, what can be done about it, I'd love to hear it. But yeah, I know people were real mad. It happened. And so you can't get your money back. So, but anyway, city council directed him to hold off and he didn't. And so there were people that, and there's supposed to be one of the reasons that they want, that the police want a new station is so that they have reception type areas to interview crime victims. So like traumatized people, like children or, people that have been attacked, and connect them with grief support, stuff like that, not just have people come into some cold police station and tell their story and then just leave. So that is their claim, you could say, for why they want to have social service type stuff at the cop station. Then you have a lot of people that are saying like, hell no, they don't want any social service type stuff at a cop station because they don't feel safe there anyway. So they were supposed to hold off on moving in there, the police, but they did. And so the question is whether Nyhoff, the city manager, gave the okay for them to move into the building and start using it. So that's a problem. But for a lot of, he's accused of having secret meetings. Well, just because you don't know about something doesn't mean it's a secret. It's his job to meet with people and to try and do business for the city. So, but then...
yeah, that's what I'm saying. To me, it sounds like they really don't have any, anything valid against this dude.
Yeah, you got to speak up a little bit, Rizzo.
It sounds like they don't have really anything valid against this guy.
Yeah, I mean, if he might not be very good at his job. And then they found out that like he'd left other cities with problems, but that's not necessarily illegal. And so but anyway, he took medical leave like weeks ago. He hasn't been seen in weeks. And then people have been like scoping out his house and saw a U-Haul leaving. So there's all sorts of questions flying around about that. And so people thought that he was just trying to use up his sick leave before quitting. But I mean, with a job like that, it's not like you can, there's contracts and all that. It's not like you can just give your 2 weeks notice and quit. So there will probably be some information tonight, hopefully. And
So how much longer does he have?
I don't know. He's probably, if somebody splits for 6 weeks, they're not coming back. If he was having like serious medical stuff, he'd at least, there would be some indication. So it's just weird. Another friend of mine said that, he's just like wants to get through and retire with a pension, which is perfectly reasonable. But, what's he gonna, there'll be people tweeting about it tonight, hopefully. And there will be, because it's a city council meeting, and there will be lots of people calling into city council. So
Yeah, because I know a lot of people at a lot of jobs do that. If they're getting ready to retire or leave and they want a certain pension amount, they have to stay a certain amount of time, and maybe like you said, if he has sick leave, it's kind of like a weird thing people do is where they use up their sick leave
Mm-hmm.
up until, and then when they come back their final day, they just quit.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably what he's doing.
Yeah, yeah. Even though, I mean, it's just gonna I mean, it's gonna be more complicated if you have a contract and stuff because you can't necessarily. So, but yeah, I mean, that's clearly that's what he's doing. So, I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's just unfortunate because that means now they're going to have to look for a new person, and they're just so crazy and chaotic. And I mean, there's always something you could say. And then, so speaking about lawsuits against Vallejo, so as we know, in 2019, the rapper Willie McCoy was shot dead by Vallejo cops in his car at the drive-in in at Jack in the Box. And a federal judge ruled Tuesday that a lawsuit filed on behalf of Willie McCoy can proceed on its claim that officers conspired to harm him, a allegation that rarely sticks in cases involving use of force. I thought that at first that it would have had to do with covering up evidence or something, which they do, but they're going by tapes, I guess, or the video where they're saying to each other, like, okay, you train your gun on him and I'll open the door or something like that. So they're saying that the court finds that an agreement or meeting of the minds could be inferred to support the agreement element of a conspiracy. So if there's a finding, what they're saying is if there's a finding of excessive force, then it's an agreement or meeting of the minds to do that. So I don't know. I mean, it says, I mean, it was reading that it rarely sticks in cases involving use of force. So, but I don't know. I mean, I just feel like, I mean, anything that happens legally to, state that the, to use against the cops or state that they were in the wrong is good. I mean, it's usually you think conspiracy to kill somebody is usually like, okay, like, yeah, we're going to go kill him. But the lawyers know what they're doing. So yes, we'll see,
Right. Yep.
Yep. So, okay. So the Metropolitan Museum of Art is returning 3 pieces of 16th century Benin court brass plaques to Benin. And so the United States is fortunately following with the European museum so far as returning antiquities. There's a show on Netflix called High on the Hog. Have you heard of it?
No, I never heard of that.
It's about African American cooking.
You know what?
Huh.
I think Trika brought that up to me before.
Oh, okay.
I gotta check that out. I heard it's pretty good.
It's really good. The first episode takes place takes place in Benin. So of course that was really interesting to since we've been talking about this area so much. And so the host is this young African American guy that I think maybe he's a food blogger or something. So he goes back and finds out about food that's cooked in Africa and that part of that world that was brought, that people remembered. And then he goes and like looks at Gullah cuisine, and it's really good. It's really well shot, so everything just looks really delicious. So yeah, you should check it out. But he did tourist type stuff there in Benin too, and was, looking at, they have it marked where people were kidnapped and stolen, and it was just, that part was really intense. So, I mean, the guy started crying. And so you think, because if you're doing a reality show type thing like that, you can't say like, okay, turn the cameras off, I'm feeling emotional here. So I don't know, he might not have wanted, but telling the truth. So yeah, it was really intense. And so he talked with like people that were that had left Benin, like young people, and come back and were incorporating like French cuisine into African cuisine. And you'll get hungry. I mean, especially I didn't even know that they farmed rice in Georgia. So they talked with a guy there, golden rice. I've never seen golden rice. So
what did it look like?
It was gold.
So was it made with real gold or what?
No, it was just the color. It was just the color. Yeah, it's a gold. It says there's a controversy about. So yeah, it's a variety of rice. Well, yellow. It says it's genetically engineered, but no way, because in this, it's yellow rice. That's what the guy was talking about in Georgia. It's real, but what he does is, it brings in one of our favorite topics, reparations. Is he's this white guy that owns a lot of land farming rice. Well, we're gonna have to figure out what the deal is with this rice. But so he sells it all over the world and but everything is free to the community, to the people in Georgia. And so he gives people like seeds and everything to start their own rice fields, basically, to start their own rice businesses. So yeah, but I know I never heard of it, because I don't know, for some reason I thought they just made rice, and I thought rice was just made in Asia or something. So because there's not many, but anyway, High on the Hog, it's on Netflix. Okay, so another thing that's happening is a preview for The Sopranos prequel.
So how are they gonna do that? Is it gonna be the same dude, Tony Soprano?
James Gand. It's a prequel, so it takes place in the 60s, so it's before the.
Oh gosh, okay.
Yeah. So James Gandolfini's son is playing young Tony Soprano.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a pretty heavy load to put on the kid.
Exactly, man. That's
yeah. Yeah, I mean, Gandolfini was just such a great actor. And I mean, I think they just sort of figured, I guess they figured in a way they either needed to pick this, have with Michael Gandolfini, it needed to be him or a complete unknown, I guess, because Gandolfini, I mean, Tony Soprano is iconic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. I just don't know, man. When you stop good shows like that and then try to resurrect it, and then on top of that do a prequel, I don't know.
Yeah, but in a way, it's I don't know. I mean, I can see it working more than I can other things, I guess. Because they talk, they quiet, you guys, because there they go, because they talked about the because so there's characters playing Livia and Uncle Junior.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's gonna do it.
I know. Yeah,
that's gonna be like you said. They're gonna have to. It's gonna have to, man. They're gonna have to pull out some stops for this one.
Yeah. Well, it's David Chase, so it's not somebody. So it'll probably have good music. I mean, worked into it. I mean, and then one of the characters is Dickie Moltisanti, Christopher Moltisanti's father, who's like a mentor to Tony. So he, I don't know. I mean, it looked pretty cool visually from what I saw from the trailer, so that makes a big difference to me. I mean, if they're able to really get the look and feel of a place and the atmosphere, but yeah, it'll be hard. And one thing that's, I know he's not gonna be listening, Michael Gandolfini I don't think he took after his dad so far as looks. I mean, maybe he's at an awkward age and he has a terrible. See, at first it looked like 70s, but now they're saying it's 60s. Maybe it's just a real bad haircut. But I was like, man, you're trying to like put him. I mean, Gandolfini was so charismatic, and so I was like, wow, that's got to be real hard to.
Like I said, man, they're gonna have to. Man, they're gonna have some work ahead of them on this one.
Yeah, they sure will. But people are gonna see it no matter what. So yeah. Like people talk about doing a sequel, second season of Lovecraft Country, and I'm like, no, don't. The main character was killed, so how are you gonna? It would just be so stupid. So, okay, so you're gonna like go on and do it and like just have them in flashbacks. And so, yeah, a lot of places don't know when to stop. But there's gonna be a second season of Woke, which I'm looking forward to. It's pretty fun. And yeah, and a second season of Gentleman Jack. Okay, and so talked about that before. Gentleman Jack is about Anne Lister, who was a 17th century, 18th century gay woman who wrote diaries in code, and because she thought nobody, so she could write about her sex life. And so her relatives found the diaries like in the mid 20th century and somehow cracked the code, and were so horrified that they never wanted anybody to see it. But fortunately, I mean, because there's like cases of families just destroying stuff, but they did give the materials to a local library, and one archivist knew about it. So he gave the information to a local person who deciphered the code, and she did it like letter by letter. And like one of the things people Ann Lister did in her codes was no spaces for words or between words or sentences or anything. So that was a pretty awesome series, and they were filming it, but then had to stop because of COVID. So they did another one. So that's going to be coming out. But yeah, I'll go. It's called The Many Saints of Newark. So I'll go see it. Okay. The House of Representatives on Tuesday voted to remove all Confederate statues from public display in the U.S. Capitol, along with replacing the bust of former Chief Justice of the United States, Roger Taney, author of the 1857 Dred Scott decision that declared that people of African descent were not U.S. citizens. And so Representative Karen Bass spoke. I've heard her speak before. She's an African American congresswoman from LA, and so she said that, you know, basically, I mean, her ancestors that, you know, were enslaved and built the Capitol, so that she didn't want that there were busts of people, that these Confederates that were traitors, that were trying to destroy the country. So I don't know if that needs to pass the Senate too, but I mean, hopefully they'll be able to do that. I mean, hopefully people, you know, like they're trying to make a commission about the January 6th insurrection. And it's just crazy to me that is I mean, how can that be a partisan issue? How can anybody approve of the government buildings being trashed? It's just so crazy. That's just one of the craziest partisan things that I've ever seen.
I agree. Definitely agree.
Yeah.
I don't understand all that, but
yeah. So take all those guys out and replace them with statues of African Americans, and yeah, basically.
What's the deal with your boy, man? I heard they're really trying to put a case up against Trump. They're like on him, dude. They're like on him hard. Especially New York. Shout out to New York. Especially New York. They're like on him.
I don't know. I mean, they've been trying. They've been trying for a long time. So I don't know.
What do you think it's gonna just be one of them things that's just gonna die off, or do you think they're gonna actually get some stuff on them?
I don't know. I mean, it would be I mean, man, he just did it. He just did another rally. I mean, he's doing his fucking rallies again, and he went out and he's campaigning for people that are running for election. I don't know. I mean, it's been said for so long that he is corrupt and done all this stuff. So I don't see why if they had the information, I don't see why they weren't able to do anything about it before. So yeah, whatever. He was impeached a couple times and nothing stuck to him. So I don't know. I think Rudy Giuliani was disbarred though.
Whoa.
Yes. Shantae is watching. Hey, it's the queen.
What up, Shantae?
How you doing, baby? Nice to see you. Yeah, so I don't know. It would be good, but I mean, meanwhile, the world is just there was a how you doing, sweetheart? How you feeling? They passed an infrastructure bill, like a 1.9 trillion infrastructure bill. That see that to me, it is such a no-brainer to do that because the money all goes back into the economy. You know, you pass that, you're all like purchasing, that is a ton of jobs. So you're paying people, and that means people will go, that's invest, and it's not like a tax cut where rich people can just sock away their money. I mean, you know, they're paying workers are going to spend, and that's going to get people to oh, okay, on my way home, just wanted to say I love you, and Rizal, we love you too, Shantae. We love you big time. And so that means people buy homes and can pay their kids school or whatever. I mean, it just, education, everything. So it is a no-brainer. Like, okay, spend. So that's supposed to be infrastructure, which roads, bridges, which is so necessary. I mean, right now, because of the heat wave in the Northwest, there's roads like buckling. There's roads that aren't safe to drive on because of the heat, like melting and shit. So yeah, that's really necessary. It would be great if they could do something about Vallejo. Oh my, Vallejo Street.
Yes, wow.
Yeah.
Especially, what is that, Sacramento Street? Is that the street that's over here?
I live right by Sacramento Street. Sacramento's, no, not Sacramento. Well, Capitol Street's really bad. Not, I never
I don't know.
drive
This
down
whole
Capitol.
little spot over here has a lot of potholes here
It
and
does.
there.
It does. Yeah, there's a alleyway near me that, you know, when I take walks, I go down there. I can't believe people drive their cars up that. I mean, it doesn't even look like a road. It just looks like a bunch of rocks thrown
Yeah,
around.
it needs to be fixed.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, all of that's jobs. That's giving people jobs, and that's purchasing raw materials or whatever you need. So, Clarence, hey
Right.
man, how you doing? Haven't seen you in ages.
What up, Clarence?
Yeah. Yeah, we need some shit done. We need some shit done in this town. So, that was supposedly bipartisan, but then, I mean, it was bipartisan, but then Joe like slipped up. They're trying to like, and this is just so stupid when they do this, like, okay, pass something and then move on. They're tying, I mean, hopefully they won't. They're looking at tying American Rescue Plan, like social service type money and all of that to get people out of COVID, and attaching that to the infrastructure bill, which is just stupid. I mean, don't do that. Just get it through and then work on something else. Because if it's something that the Republicans don't like, they're just gonna ball up the entire thing. So get moving, people. And there's a credit for, there's a kid credit, which is good. You know, I mean, people making under a certain amount will get some money for their kids, which they should. You know, kids are expensive. Okay. And so we've been following Ethiopia for a while, and the rebellion in Tigray, and this has been going on for about eight or 10 months. There's been human rights abuses on both sides, but you know, I mean, especially the side with more guns, and famine, rape, and it's just awful. It's just the guy, Abiy Ahmed, won the Nobel Peace Prize and then turned into a murderous dictator. But a truce was declared. And so, but except what's weird is that the Tigrayans are moving back in and like taking their cities back over. So I guess they feel like they won, which you know, I mean, hopefully, I mean, I think a truce is a win for everybody, but that unfortunately, I mean, he went in there to try and crush them. So if they think they won, I am not going to bet on that truce holding up. In other words. So yeah, we are continuing to send our best wishes to Sirius, to Ethiopia and Eritrea. And then, okay, so the state of Israel. So, okay, so this is something my relatives think is great. The Israel established diplomatic relations with the United Arab Emirates, Morocco, and Bahrain. And so there was just a diplomatic trip to the United Arab Emirates from the state of Israel's, like, you know, economic secretary or something like that. Because, you know, establishing diplomatic relations is just all about making money, and that's what they'll be doing. And okay, now this was like a small bit of news that I was surprised at how little notice it got. The US just bombed Iraq and Syria, dropping some bombs. There was such a cute picture of him in the video last week of that one. So he was dropping bombs on Iranian targets in Syria and Iraq. So that probably had to do with Iranian targets. Iran has a new prime minister who's a hardliner. See, a lot of stuff happens at once. Israel has a new prime minister who's a hardliner. So you'd think, I don't know, man. It's like, why don't you guys just agree to, you know, like, you guys should look at the fact that okay, guys, you agree about hating each other. So come on, that's a good start. So, yeah, the new prime minister of Iran was in the government in the 80s and presided over some extremely brutal executions and Sharia law punishment. So it does not look good over there. I mean, I remember the Iranian Revolution in 1979 when the Shah of Iran fled and there were the hostages and all that. And so, I mean, I was a kid, I wasn't that, but that was when there was the Ayatollah Khomeini that took over and established fundamentalist rule. I mean, before that, Iran was a modern place. So, yeah, I mean, it's just weird. And then ever since then, it's like since 1979, they've been back in the 17th century or whatever, the 14th century, and just oppressive governments, and women can't play a role in society and have to wear garbage bags. And so, yeah, it's strange. And another place that was modern up until the late 70s was Afghanistan. And so, you know, we're looking at Afghanistan now because the United States military is pulling out. They're supposed to be all the way out by September 11th, and Afghanistan is already becoming more violent. So, yeah, that's just really really sad and frustrating. Yeah, I mean, the United States should never have, I mean, they've been in there for 18, the United States shouldn't have gone in there in the first place. And I don't think they did any good. People disagree with me about that. As far as I'm concerned, Afghanistan doesn't even seem that much, doesn't really seem safer or having more freedom than it did 18 years ago. And I was aware, I mean, a lot of people just became aware of Afghanistan and the oppression of women after 9/11, but I mean, I was aware of it before. So Afghanistan was invaded by Russia in the 70s, and then the fundamentalists that took back their country was the Mujahideen, I think. So they were fundamentalists, and so they took everybody backward and didn't allow women to do anything. And then the Taliban took over from the Mujahideen. I think they were called the Mujahideen. I'll look it up. And I mean, they were the ones that smashed artwork, that continually, don't allow girls to go to school. And there's Afghan police women that just get killed for being out in public. So it's really sad. I mean, nobody had the balls to, I mean, I feel like a lot of people just forgot the US was there. Doesn't it seem that way to you?
Yeah, I actually kind of forgot about that until you just brought it up.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it simply should have been admitted that the United States was not doing any good, and they should have gotten the fuck out years ago and not have spent, otherwise you just spent a lot of money and didn't do anything. I mean, if it had helped people in Afghanistan, I would support it, but it didn't. They're not better off. And I think you just make people angrier. You just make the anti-Western forces angrier by being in their country. I mean, no matter what, people do not want the United States, do not want to be told what to do. So I don't know. I mean, I'm just really sad about it because I just feel like there was just a lot of bullshit about, I mean, the whole reason, I mean, why the fuck but yeah, seriously, a lot of Americans just forgot that. I feel like Obama forgot that the US was there. It was it just never got mentioned at all. And people were aware of the Iraq war and that we had military over there, but so it was a big deal politically to pull the military out of Iraq, and then they did that, and ISIS took over. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it just seems like the U.S. And I know, I mean, this is this is not an original observation at all. The US goes in someplace and fucks it up and leaves.
Yeah, but I noticed that once they tend to go in, I mean, it's like you said, it's kind of hard for them they get into a point to where it's hard for them just to go.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So they put themselves in this bad situation. And I mean, it's I don't know what to say on that, on why they do that, but like you said, once they get in there, they can't just, take all these troops out. You remember when Trump came in? Remember he tried to do something like that? Didn't he try to take all the troops out of Afghanistan, and out of nowhere he just didn't do it, and they stopped talking about it? So there must be something more to it. See, people I'm sure they try not to talk with us too much about it because we probably don't need to know whatever goes on. But I think, and I've seen this, like you said, with Iraq and any other country we go into, it's just like we can't just leave. It's just, it seems like we got to be there for a while. And
Yeah,
that's
you
just what
do.
happened.
Yeah, you do, but then it doesn't do any, it doesn't do any good. So why not admit you fucked up after 10 years and leave instead of like 18 years later? But yeah, so I mean, they were supposed to be assisting the and the other thing that's stupid is that they can you can leave a relatively small military force in a country and still be able to offer a lot of assistance because the US military is highly trained and they have like high-tech weapons and stuff. So I mean, I think there's only like 2,000 people, the troops there now, which isn't a lot. And so it's like they want psychologically, they want it to sound good. Like, okay, we're bringing everybody home, we're bringing everybody out. Whereas, I mean, the difference between having a small force there and not being there at all is huge.
I agree.
I mean, they're supposed.
I just think.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. No,
I'm
go
just
ahead.
saying. I mean, you know, they're supposed. I mean, they were always supposed to be there to be helping and assisting the Afghan government with protecting itself. So, yeah. So what?
I always think there's stuff we just don't know.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like. I kind of equate like with the military with football, and it's like a lot of people get mad when a football team picks up a certain player. They're like, "Why'd you get that guy? You know why?" And it's like, dude, these are like coaches, just like they're generals. You know what I'm saying? Everything they're doing is for a reason. We may not all know the reason for why they're doing it. Like even for the troops staying out there that long, but I think there's a reason behind it that they just don't tell us.
So what are things that happen in football that you can't figure out why the coaches did it?
Like sometimes they'll get certain players. Like let's just say like the Raiders, we need players on defense. So let's just say they draft people on offense. You're like, what the hell? We need defense. But you know, then I have to sit back and think. I'm like, they're coaches. They play with these players. They know things we don't know. And so, you know, you may see later on down the line, they may pick up a free agent. Maybe they knew they were going to pick up that free agent to play on defense, so they didn't need to draft that position. And I mean, it's kind of almost just like, you know, to me, it's like, as from us looking outside in, we think we know what needs to be done, but we're not there, so we really don't know. And that's where I think the problem lies. So, like, when you're saying, like, okay, they have these troops in Afghan this long, for whatever reason, we really don't know why they need all them troops there, but there might be a reason that they just don't tell us.
Well, we do know, but we do know why they need all those troops there, because Afghanistan is violent as hell and has fundamentalists blowing stuff up.
True, but a lot of people want some of them troops to come back.
Well,
and I'm trying to say that there's usually a reason why they have so many troops down there. A lot of people are like, well, they don't need this, you know, they don't need all this help now. We've been down there long enough. We should leave. But, you know, they probably just can't just leave. It's probably not that easy.
Yeah, well, that's what, that's what was always said. I mean, that's what was, you know, I mean, Bush went into Iraq and, you know, then so then Obama needed to deal with that, and then Trump needed to deal with whatever Obama had done. But yeah, that was why, you know, I mean, the real infamous thing with a lot of us with Obama's foreign policy was when he said, so you shouldn't have said this. He said that there was a red line about chemical weapons, and then Bashar al-Assad, this was in 2011, dropped, I mean, chemical weapons against civilians, and Obama didn't go in. And because, and again, I certainly understood the logic. There were people, we had troops on the ground in Iraq and in Afghanistan. And what generals say is that you shouldn't go in, that if you're going to go into a war, you need to know how you're going to get out. And a lot of the time they don't. And so that's when you wind up with all those problems. So,
yep.
Yeah. My brother's been to Afghanistan. He has a general. He has a friend that's like a admiral general type of dude that was there, like trying to work on some social programs and stuff. So, yeah. Want to take a break?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. We'll be back shortly, everybody. Thank you for listening.
How y'all feel out there? Oh yeah. All right. Check this out. 1, 2, 3. In the place to be, as it is plain to see, he is Bukowski. He leaves without a trace, and he came here tonight to get on your case. And we are the crush grooving, the body moving, the record making, and the record breaking. And it goes a little something like this. It goes a 1, 2, 3, and here we go. 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 How y'all feel out there? 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 Oh yeah. All right. Check this out.
Yo, family, how you doing? Are you maintaining? Cause these days can be straining. And your boy Adrian is concerned for your mental state, fam. Cause true wealth is mental health. Can I get an amen?
Oh yeah.
Thanks DMC AGE reppin'. Hip hop is my weapon, no question. With crazy flexing, negative energy FM.
Oh yeah.
How you feeling? On TV, watching black men killing over and over. They show us on TV the same scenes, different angles and slow. Cold shakes and stomach aches when we get pulled over by the popo. That's not cool, bro. So I'm asking how you doing, yo.
All right. Check this out. 1, 2, 3. How y'all feel out there? 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 Oh yeah. All right. Check this out.
Can't give hugs, can't show love, and can't show your blunt.
Oh yeah.
Can't go out, can't go to a club to stunt, can't even fuck.
Oh yeah.
Barely breathing, don't wear a mask, you're catching a beating. Internet got your brain tweaking from the shit that you're reading. Not satisfied with my life, everything I do, I gotta post and get a like. Hopefully I don't get killed by 504, running a red light, Lord knows I might. I'm about to lose my mind, but I smile like everything is fine, like Jean Grey and Krell Chris. That's why I gotta ask y'all this.
Check this out. How y'all feel out there? 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 How y'all feel out there?
Yo, this is that dude, the Duck Soup Radio. This is your boy DJ Rowe. We getting down. It's the water, baby, the water.
To these medals into our nation, the delivery, my quiver, be reverberating. Paper catastrophe, apostrophe for the beat, and to the pen man with the getaway racing to the zone. I wanna go safety zone. I feel at home. Rappers home, rappers home.
Today we gotta deal with the beast. That's why I always pray to the east. Yo, and practice what I preach, and be sure that I drink on some water. 8 cups a day, it's good for my body.
Gotta drink that water.
I need it like mama's love it, like food for mama's oven.
Gotta drink that water.
It's good for my health, more important than man-made wealth.
Gotta drink that water.
I need it in my body, I need water, not a Maserati.
Woo, man, I feel refreshed, man. My soul is feeling it, man. I'm drenched with the water, man. I was thirsty for a while, but man, I'm feeling it, man. That water, baby, that water. Man, coming up Georgia Street, man. Hooked up with Tiara and Age, man. Woo, man, they quench that thirst. Water, definitely water.
Adrian, give me please a pen that's permissible for me to pen with. My environment defended. Strongest word, the word. Cut fresh, slicing meat. Refreshing, lime juice and ice. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Caught the spice of life. Nice and easy, is it true? All that we get from the struggle makes the flavor spike just right. Words of Afro Samurai.
Give you everything, we'll do anything for it. Now I'm gonna give it up, yeah. Oh, yeah. Give you everything, we'll do anything for it. Now I'm gonna give it up, yeah.
What's the feeling? It's euphoria. It's the type of love that directors make a story of. It's the type that makes you get a ring, have a wedding on the beach with your friends and a honeymoon in Kokomo. Man, she had my heart like an open door, overload. Fiend for her love like a drug and an overdose. Ignored the red flags and crips around some Suwus. Now I'm the fool, the one left jumping through hoops.
Baby, I go on my way to do things for you. So crazy, talking every speak rings for you. For the first time, I know what it feels to share. Oh, but what good is that if getting hurt is all it does? 'Cause now I feel give you everything that you would do anything for. And now I'm gonna give it all. Give you everything that you would do anything for. And now I'm gonna give it all.
Break for emergency traffic. Truck 21, standby for an 1179 injury accident after a pursuit. 1132 Nebraska. Shepard Drive, Vallejo. 1032 Nebraska, 1132 Nebraska. The vehicle's overturned.
707 backwards, man. Yeah. Damn, I hear sirens all around, so I turn on my scanner to see what's really going down. Somebody got shot and killed across town. The shooter's on foot, the ghetto bird airbound. I called up T-Dub for some cookies to cop. He said he couldn't make the drop cause the spot was hot. I said, damn, ain't this a bitch? I can't buy no weed cause somebody got hit. As though I didn't like it, I had to respect it. Cause when you move too fast, you might live to regret it. That's how the game go, living in Vallejo, 707. I said backwards, get the same tone. I'm from the city where them hustlers and them killers be. So if you come into my city, better come in peace. Stay in your lane and out the way, mind your own and live long. The moral of the song is how the game go. One more day on the streets of Valley Joe. One more day on the streets of Valley Joe. I'm living one more day on the streets of Valley Joe. That's how it is, that's just how the game go. Hey, one more day on the streets of Valley Joe. One more day on the streets of Valley Joe. I'm living one more day on the streets of Valley Joe. That's how it is, that's just how the game go. Dedicated to my best friend, yeah. Yeah, my lover and my best friend. I love you, best friend. Hey, Black Milk on the beat. Yeah. She stood about 5'6" with some nice size tits. Her GSLs make a nigga bust quick. She only gets submissive when I'm giving her the dick. Any other time she bossy playing hard to get. We were friends before lovers. That's some real nigga shit. We both have a past and we recognize this. We don't put a title on our relationship. She lets me do me and I appreciate this. She's my best friend. Sometimes I wish she was my girlfriend. I want her all to myself. Fuck her X-Men. I know better than to let my feelings get in way of our friendship. That will be a sin. But it's hard because she's beautiful and hella cool. She's really smart like the same things that I do. Now I'm confused and don't know what to do. I'm getting mad when she tell me she talked to other dudes. We argue on the phone. She hang up in my face. I'm feeling bad 'cause we ain't talked in a couple days. I text good morning love. She reply good morning babe. I text back I apologize. She text back it's okay. We back talking again. I'm having better days. I got it bad. Call me a charade. I love my best friend. I love her even when she tell me that she don't want to be more than just friends. 'Cause even though I want her as my girlfriend, my heart knows that it's best she be my best friend. I love you, best friend.
I'm Mr. Lonely, don't got many homies, too many phonies. I do my dirt all by my lonely, I won't tell on me. I had to find out the hard way, nobody told me. These niggas ain't solid like rocks, they're some jabronis. I'm an OG and your mama my tenderoni. Your sister wanna hop on this bus, she too young for me. Told her when she turned 21, I'll let her blow me. 'Cause that's the best way that a woman could get to know me. I'm the real my nigga,
yeah.
Deal my nigga, yeah. Born in Vallejo from the Ville, my nigga. Tell me face to face how you feel, my nigga. Are we cool? Is we funky? What's the deal, my nigga? What? For real, my nigga. On the real, my nigga. I'd rather shoot the fake than shoot the kill, my nigga. It's only out of love that I grill, my nigga. Lord, give me strength to try to heal, my nigga.
What up, everybody? This your boy DJ Rowe. We are back. Anna, you in the house?
Hey, what's up? So who we been listening to tonight, Roselle?
Oh, check it out, man. We got some of that Thug Nasty.
Yep.
And the Black Bukowski. You know who the Black Bukowski is, right?
Of course I do.
Who is it?
Age.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be one of them trivia questions. One of these days, we're going to have trivia questions on all these people I'm playing.
Don't you? I think you should know, Roselle, you should know by now that if I don't know something, I'll say.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Yeah. Believe me, I've had, haven't we had enough conversations where you're like, you don't know that?
Yep,
so
yep.
Yeah.
So we also played a little bit of Yeso, some Thug Nasty, some Jay Fetty, a little bit of Andrew Blackshear. We played a few people.
Yeah.
Daylight Raps, Cash Life. Shout out to all the artists, all the indie artists.
Yes.
Bumping, man. Bumping.
Sure is. Yeah, I wish we could play on I wish we could do it on Facebook, but sorry, Facebook. You guys could always go over. Yeah. You guys can always go over to the YouTube to hear the music. Hey everybody on YouTube, thank you for listening to Global History Radio, and I feel free to comment, put some stuff in the chat. I love to hear from people, and send us a message if you want to come on the show and say hello. And I sent Tifa a message, but and I could tell she got it, but she didn't get back to me. So
like, you mean what do you mean, to come on, or?
Yeah, because she's been supposed to come on, but so I messaged her, but Tifa Love, man, very, very talented, very cool music. Okay, so I just pulled out a quote. Remember the X-Files, the TV show? Yeah. My friends were, my friends were obsessed with it. And a lot of my friends were obsessed with it in the 90s. And so you know how I feel about conspiracy theory. So I was having this discussion. I was like, with Spider on Messenger, because I wrote to him and I was like, okay, let's just set a time where you can come on, and designated time to talk about conspiracy theories, because I don't like people bringing up conspiracy theories when I'm trying to talk about real shit. so so he wrote back, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. And I was like, yeah, I know. I was like, I was like, I know you believe in some conspiracy theories, but you think for, you think for yourself and all that. I'm not saying you're like blindly following anything. So yeah, so we'll do that one of these days, because yeah, like, okay, you just take 20 minutes to talk about that shit and get it out of your system. So I was reading a real brief interview with Chris Carter, who was the creator of the X-Files. And I mean, the X-Files, I don't know, I mean, historically, I think it looked very different than a lot of TV did at that time. It was more like a film. So, because yeah, it was pretty cool the way it had all those shadows and everything. But okay, so here's the quote from Chris Carter. The plot of the X-Files was built on a conspiracy theory. The government is lying to you about the existence of USOs and extraterrestrials. Do I believe the government lies to us? Absolutely. I'm a child of Watergate. Do I believe in conspiracies? Certainly. I believe, for example, that someone is targeting CIA agents and White House officials with microwave radiation, the so-called Havana syndrome, and the government denied it. That's like all the people that are have been in embassies, and that we talked about that, the oral attack, how people got sick from noises. So crazy. And so and I think part of it came up because Obama just did an interview where he was asked about that. He said that, like, as president, he got to see information that really surprised him, you could say. So yeah, so that's one of, I mean, I don't know, like, to me, like with military stuff, there's a lot we don't know, but I mean, that makes sense. And there's logical reasons not to know stuff. But, I mean, if the government, do you think the government really knows about UFOs and is hiding them from us?
I don't know. This is a hard one. I'm kind of on the fence about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of like, it's kind of like I'm in the middle. I mean, I don't know. It's one of them things you just don't know.
Yeah.
But if you want to go by, let's say, logic, if you haven't seen it, how true is it if you haven't seen it yet yourself?
But there's a lot of stuff that we haven't seen that we know is there. I mean,
like what?
Well, the moon, I mean, Mars. I mean,
but we see we
see pictures.
Like,
I see.
You see what I'm saying? Like, there's no, like, I look outside, I can, you can see the moon sometimes.
Yeah.
If you have the right stuff, you can see Mars. But when it comes to aliens, spirits, and all that stuff, I mean, it's like that's where the middle comes in, because unless you see it, is it real? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you would put that.
Yeah, because sometimes I think that, I mean, to me, it's not surprising. I mean, to think that there's beings in other parts of the universe. I mean, I mean, why? I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. Put it that way. I don't think to me, it's not really that strange or bizarre an idea that there are life forms elsewhere. I mean, why wouldn't there be? That's like, and that's not the
I know what you're saying, but I'm gonna play devil advocate. Why would there be?
well, exactly. See, what I was about to say that well, yeah, because this is the absence of proof doesn't mean anything, basically. So you know, because you see that with like murder mysteries or something like that, or okay, whenever somebody you know, like with missing people, or I don't know, you say like so yeah, I mean, you know, it's not that logical. I mean, it's kind of, let's say there's like, if you when you try and go to like, why would there be or why wouldn't there be, that's like equal logic on both sides. So either way would not surprise me. But there's a hell of a lot of people that have had experiences or seen things. But okay, if all, like, say, if all those people were right, okay, if there were that many sightings of extraterrestrial beings, I mean, I think we would know, I think we would have more definitive proof, because it's like, what do they do, you know? I mean, if you're gonna see it, if they've been seen that many, if people had really seen them that many times, then why wouldn't they have shown up on Earth? So that makes me, so you're looking at it that way, all these people are just fucking crazy.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think as Americans recently, we've been going away from logic like that lately. I think on a lot of stuff, we just kind of, it's more of people kind of just go off of what they believe anyway. Even if it's not proof to it, they just kind of, if they want to believe it, it's true.
And that's certainly, I mean, you know, I think probably just about every culture in the world would have sightings and theories about it. I mean, because that's just kind of a human nature thing, like wondering, like, hey, what else is out there? I mean, so yeah, I mean, I think it's just people in general are pretty curious, and yeah, but you know, whether the United States, like, see, that to me would be the example, like, okay, is the government really tracking this? Is the government really trying to keep track of this? And don't they have better stuff to do?
You know what? Who knows if they're really actually tracking it? They might just be kind of using that as a decoy, just so to get us off of what, like, stuff that they want to hide from us. You never know.
Well, yeah. Okay, now see, that's real conspiracy theory sort of, because a lot of stuff to me that I mean, whenever there's talk about conspiracies about like secret organizations controlling stuff, I'm like, yeah, that's not a conspiracy. I mean, that's like rich people control a lot of stuff. Like, there's no mystery about that. So yeah, I mean, the definition of it is when and this is the problem, I think, with some of the, like, the anti-vaxxers and all of them. If people think that there's a conspiracy of whatever, then they think they're gonna say that, like, any evidence that refutes it is part of the conspiracy. So then you're just stuck. I mean, if somebody thinks the government's lying to them, then if you say no, they're gonna be like, well, the government is, you're just saying that because the government's lying to you too. Either that or you're in on it.
I don't know. My logic is it's hard to believe anything unless I see it. So
very true.
I gotta see it for myself.
Roman, get down. Roman, get down.
Oh, her cat's going at it.
They do. Oh, I
You know what's
this-
gonna happen one day?
Huh.
One day, one of them cats is gonna fly across that screen.
I know.
I just have a feeling it's just go. Something's
Yeah.
gonna happen, or a cat fight's gonna happen right in front of you, and we all gonna be like, "Whoa!"
Well, if it weren't for this thing, you'd see a lot more of the cats. Okay, so there's been a lot of talk recently about Tulsa, about the massacre in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the 100-year commemoration of 100 years, the survivors testifying before Congress. We were talking about reparations for that. So I've been reading about a race massacre in Elaine, Arkansas in the summer of 1919. And 1919 is known as Red Summer because something post-World War I, African-American men that had served their country came home and were met with violence. And what people said was, people felt they were safer in the trenches than they were in the United States. So in Elaine, Arkansas, it was another place like Tulsa and like Rosewood. It was a place where African Americans owned property and had acquired financial stability and built a really nice place. And so they were massacred, and the massacre is widely understood to have targeted Black sharecroppers who were holding a union meeting to discuss how to get fair cotton prices from the white people whose land they worked. And so that's believed, and that Richard, the author Richard Wright's uncle was killed in that. And so Richard Wright is one of the mid-20th century African-American classics writers. Like when I would, there was him, there was Claude Brown, and James Baldwin is kind of like in a class his own, but a couple sort of like the novels that, I read them when I was young because my stepmother had them. They were pretty much, so, now stuff goes in and out of favor. So there is there's a National African American Reparations Commission that just announced that 2 national reparatory justice groups have contributed the second of $50,000 contributions to the Elaine Legacy Center as part of a pledge of $150,000. So I had read about that and was trying to track it down and see how is that going to work? Like, where did they get the money from? But, we follow that carefully. And so it is another situation of trying to right the wrongs of the past. And on the side that we don't agree with around here, Zimbabwe made its first compensation payment as part of an agreement to settle a dispute with white commercial farmers who had their land seized violently 2 decades ago. They got $1 million. So fuck that, but I don't know. They were that is so that apparently the Zimbabwean government needs to do that so that they can be part of the Commonwealth of former British colonies and benefit financially from that. People are like holding them hostage to like pay money back to white people. So that's what's up in Zimbabwe. I was just reading about former colonies, former British colonies have the most brutal, severe anti-gay laws. And that's true in Singapore, and that this was codified as part of by the colonizers as part of a racist measure to try and control people. So, I mean, basically, I mean, you know, there's cultures where people could have just been left alone, and there were, I mean, in Indian tradition, there is much more of a lack of gender binary. And so I was reading about that with it being Pride Month this year, and that this past Sunday, there was a pride picnic here in Vallejo that was put on by Solano Pride, Vallejo Gay Network, and the Solano Stonewall Democrats. So that was cool. It was the first gathering of this community in person that we've had since COVID. So, yay. I was there for a lot of the time. I got to social events late, but I got there like almost at the beginning and stayed the whole time. So it was just cool. It was really nice. We'd had some of us, there had been Zoom meetings for Zoom cocktail hours all through COVID, and there weren't too many of us on there, but it was a lot of fun. So that helped a lot. And see, for me, actually, since I'm like, I mean, I'm home a lot anyway, so I'll miss that because I have like a lot of times where I don't have anything social to do anyway. So, but I'm working on that. Yeah. So have you done anything social?
I did a couple of gigs here and there.
You did?
Yes, a couple of DJ gigs. I actually got one in 2 weeks on the 10th. So, I mean, that's the closest I've got. I actually went to Good Day Cafe on Sunday.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, they're letting everybody in there, so they're not. You don't have to wear a mask, or if you want to. So,
yeah,
that's been. They're pretty much opening it up now. Everybody has their choice. So,
yeah. There's a couple places where you're still supposed to wear masks, but yeah, it's nice. Yeah. So yeah, I'm trying to think if I don't have anything. So yeah, one of the things, we're having our monthly potlucks again at Vallejo Gay Network. So that's cool. Yeah. So I suppose I'll like, you know, I have like, but unfortunately fucking BART is still on, they're still like stopping at 9 from the city. So I was supposed to go out for my friend's birthday on Saturday night, but it was starting so late, and I hate driving in San Francisco, and I just didn't, you know, man, I couldn't. So I was but I was actually in my car, and I was going to go, and I texted her that I was leaving, and she texted back, "Oh, good, see you at 8:30." And I was like, "What? I thought this started at 8." Because I'd said to her before, like, "Can't you start your dinner a little earlier?" But she likes to eat late. So I was like, "I'm sorry. I'm not gonna do it." Because if you have a birthday dinner with a bunch of people, then it's just gonna take forever. So happy birthday, Fudgy.
Happy birthday, Fudge.
Yes. Okay. So in where is it? Shit. Okay. So I can't okay, so I can't remember if we were talking about the second school. So 751, a mass grave of 751 people was found in another residential school. So we were talking last week about the difference between, like, you need to say mass graves because they aren't unmarked graves, they're mass graves. I mean, you can like bury somebody and have a ceremony or whatever, give them a proper burial without marking them. I mean, that could be part of somebody's tradition, but these are just uncommemorated graves. And so then two more Catholic churches burned down in Indigenous communities in Western Canada early on Saturday, and they began within an hour of each other. So yeah, so there's a and then I can't, okay, I talked about that a little, well, we talked about it a little bit last week. The United States now has an initiative to try and find out what happened at the compulsory boarding schools or whatever, and try and find some sort of compensation. But anyways, so you need to, but they weren't, you kind of could call them, they weren't schools. They weren't, because if you say boarding school, then you just think like, yeah, people send their kids away to school, but that's not what it was. I mean, kids were taken and not allowed to go home. So I think it would be more accurate to just call it an internment camp or something. So I was listening to an interview with a chief from an Indigenous nation in Canada, and so he's really cool. He was really young. He just had this great presence of just, I mean, he was real passionate, but also real calm. And they asked him, because the question has been, there was going to be like a Canadian Day, celebrating Canadian Day. And they asked him, well, what do you think about that? And he said, so he just was he was so cool. He was so chill. He said, well, you know, he wasn't interested in telling people what to celebrate, and that he would never tell people not to celebrate something. But he said, like, I'm a Canadian. He said, like, he said like he was a Canadian. He was a proud Canadian. He was also proud to be Indigenous, and that this was his country too. And he just talked with such compassion and about the people that are finding this out about their relatives. So I used to only read novels, and I only read novels for years. And then over the past several years, I pretty much just read nonfiction, biographies and history. So I've been reading some novels again, and I've been reading one by Louise Erdrich, who is a very famous Native American author. And it's called The Night Watchman, and it takes place in the 1950s. And she's Chippewa, which I think that's Ohio. I think it's in Ohio. I could be wrong. My Louise Erdrich's sister was a friend of my dad, so that's where I kind of knew who she was before that, but that's where we started hearing about her a lot. And she writes too. They're just a really talented family. And Louise Erdrich just won the Pulitzer Prize for The Night Watchman, and it's based on her grandfather. And in the 1950s, you know, okay, so as we know, the United States government took the Indians' land and moved them onto reservations. But then in the 1950s, there was a movement called emancipation of the Native Americans, which would have basically taken the reservations, like sort of saying that, okay, people don't need reservations anymore. So it was an attempt to like kick everybody off the reservations. So that's what the story is about. And about the grandfather writing letters to the senators about it and going to testify, but it's also about a woman, a young woman that's looking for her sister who's gone missing. So, I mean, it takes place. So I haven't finished yet. So I've been trying to like, wait, do they get kicked off the reservations? And I'd never even heard of that. I mean, the problem with the reservations, with people being put on the reservations, beside the human rights abuses and oppression and racism, was that the reservations were shitty land. It was really hard to grow stuff there, and for the most part. So I guess that did happen in some places, like they're like, okay, fuck pretty much fuck the treaties. It kind of surprises me that it doesn't happen more often, because they didn't give a shit when they made the treaties. So I could see how they could just come up with some excuse not to enforce the treaties. So the other novels I was reading was by Amos Oz, who was an Israeli author, and he was unusual because he believed in a two-state solution. He was always a supporter of Palestinian rights for the Palestinian people. And this came up in conversation because my dad was talking about how Amos Oz was ostracized by people for holding those views. And he was talking about the lack of compassion and humanity. I mean, Amos Oz was ostracized by people for caring about human rights for Arabs and Palestinians. So the book takes place in 1960. And what I thought was so interesting about it was, at that point, Israel had only been a state for 12 years. And so the independence, or whatever, because Israel became independent because Great Britain had owned the way it's described is the Ottoman Empire the Turkish had jurisdiction over that area, but then after World War I, the British got it, but then they sort of decided they didn't want to deal with it anymore. But during the 1940s, there was major resistance. There was guerrilla warfare from Jews that wanted to have a state that wanted Palestine to be a state. So basically, they were enacting guerrilla warfare against the British. And so then they were granted a state and kicked out Palestinians. And so basically, and there's people that vehemently disagree with this too. And in honesty, I have to put it this way. So the early leaders were like gangsters. They'd been really pretty fucking violent. And that was the heritage of that time. And so the main character in this book is a young guy who's dropped out of college, and he's living in the home of an older man and a woman like in her 40s or something who he gets a huge crush on. And her father had been, he's a fictional character, but I mean, I think he's based on someone real who had been part of the Israeli independence movement, but did not believe, he believed that forming a Jewish state was nationalistic, and that it should have just been made into one state, like a state that wasn't Jewish or Arab. It should have just been a state. So, and he was ostracized. The character was ostracized because of his views. And so this book was it was called Judas. Oh, so then there was the main character, the young guy, is studying Jewish views of Jesus, for trying to like get a master's degree with that. And so it was autobiographical, basically, that Amos Oz had been ostracized for his beliefs. So, I mean, it's just a dangerous thing, and very sad that there's so much fear and anger about ideas and opinions. So yeah, but that was my little foray into novels. But it was it was interesting to me. It was just interesting to me culturally, and it's sort of hard to explain, but it was what the consciousness of the state of Israel, of people in 1960. I mean, this guy had asthma or something, so hadn't fought in the war, but everybody had been a soldier. And, you know, in 1960, people were, you know, there were a lot of Holocaust survivors. And so people were very much coming out of that experience. So, yeah, so that is the novel. And okay, so I did not get to, there was a couple sort of interesting deaths. Kenneth Kaunda was the first leader in Zambia, and Zambia had been part of South Africa. So wait a minute. No, of Rhodesia. So I guess I mixed up. And so it was, so Kenneth Kaunda was one of the revolutionary leaders from the 1950s. And so he was, and I was partially interested in him because Bayard Rustin spent a lot of time with him. But I have a long article about it because I was looking over it earlier to get prepared to talk about him. But there was so much information that I just decided to wait. But he was 97 years old. He challenged the colonizers in South Africa and in Namibia, as well as Portuguese colonial rule in Mozambique and Angola. So he died, and then former Philippine president Benigno Aquino III, who was, because the Philippines has a dynasty, and he died at the age of 61. His father was assassinated, Benigno Aquino, for trying to oppose General Marcos, and so that led to Aquino's mother, Corazon Aquino, who was Benigno Aquino II's wife, was the president of the Philippines for years. And then Benigno III was in power from 2010 to 2016. He was known as the Quiet Aquino. He was the only boy in the family. And I think even though his mother was a president too, there would have been a lot of pressure on him to hold the office as well. He signed a reproductive health bill into law, which provided universal access to contraception, fertility control, sex education, and maternal care, and so that is given credit for more than anything. You do that, and I mean, shit, you do that anywhere, and the economy is just gonna get booming. I mean, childcare keeps so many women out of the workforce or else not fully employed. And so, I mean, the Philippines is a real Catholic country, so it was hard to get that through. It's controversial, but he did it, and that's what gets a lot of credit for rebuilding for their economy. So yeah, man. Free birth control for everyone.
There you go.
Okay, so the last remaining absolute monarchy in the world, it's claimed, is Eswatini. Eswatini used to be known as Swaziland, but it is ruled by an absolute monarch named King Mswati III, who has 15 wives, or at least, and just lives in the lap of luxury, and his country is one of the poorest in the world and has one of the highest rates of HIV/AIDS. So there's a documentary called Without the King, which came out several years ago, and it features his daughter, who is a princess something or other, who does some rapping. I mean, it came out like probably 10 years ago or something. So she was pretty interesting because, she's like, my daddy is just such a great man, she didn't know any better. So, yeah, so I've always wondered what happened to her. So, but there's been demonstrations for democracy there, and the prime minister has denied that King Mswati had fled to South Africa following clashes between the security forces and demonstrators. There's something like he had like 10 private planes, or just crazy stuff like that. So yeah, so here is hoping that there can be some democracy and some sharing of the wealth in Eswatini. But yeah, he just changed. I mean, that's I guess when you're an absolute monarch, you can just change your country's name and do whatever you want. So
Yep, that's usual in the other countries.
I know.
They do what they want. You become a leader, boy. That it's
Yep.
you. You can do whatever you want.
You sure can. Yeah. So you want to close out with some music?
Yeah, it's up to you. You want to do it?
Yeah. Got any shout outs for anybody? Anything going on?
Let's see. Shout out to Duck Soup, of course.
Duck Soup. Yes, Duck Soup.
Definitely Duck Soup.
Duck Soup's back on Wednesday night.
Yes, tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Duck Soup.
Yeah.
Same bad time, same bad place.
Yeah.
And shout out to Treat Can Know Better Do Better, which is next Thursday.
Next Thursday, yes.
9 to 11. And then definitely shout out to Anna. Historical Podcast Radio.
Yeah.
We always got to give that props.
Thank you. Yeah. I decided to do a show with, I was like, I wanted to just get back to like catch up with some of like the news and stuff that I hadn't been getting to do for a while because we've been, and I love guests. Guests are awesome. Anybody that's listening, contact me if you want to come on the show. We love to hear from people and involve people.
You know what? I always believe that once in a while you have to go back to an old school show with just the core group at least once or twice out the year.
Yeah.
So it's usually a pretty good, and we need to do a couple of duck soups like that, just with the core people, see how that goes.
Yeah, definitely. So,
all right, okay. I'm gonna play a couple of tunes, and then we'll come back on to close it.
Okay. Night, everybody. Night, Facebook.
Hey, I just dropped my nuts on them. Got these niggas mad cause I don't fuck with them. If it ain't about a bag that I can't fuck with them. Tryna hurt my family, we gon' up on them. Yeah, we gon' up on them. I just dropped my nuts on them. Got these niggas mad cause I don't fuck with them. If it ain't about a bag that I can't fuck with them. Tryna hurt my family, we gon' up on them. Yeah, we gon' up on them. I had to drop my nuts on them. Niggas mad, I don't fuck with them. Glock 17s with stuffing. Run up them bags and double it. Man, pass me the bag, you fumbling. Say that shit with your chest, you mumbling. Might drop me a tape when the summer hit. Only real niggas I'm fucking with. Hey, shout out the gang, my brother's lit. I'm all about a bag, fuck a bitch. AC to the ream, I can never switch. Reach for my chain, you getting hit. Real niggas, yeah, they feeling this. They like Reem, he killing it. And I'm going up. And I can't stop with the ceiling is. I talk about money, you been dismissed. I'm getting bread, fuck it this. I stay with a shooter, he gon' switch. I'm all about money, I'm focused. Niggas don't like me, I notice. 650, we the coldest. Murder cap, nigga no cap. I'm tryna hit him with boulders. I'm mixing some rock with the Bel Air. I'm killing myself, but I don't care. I feel like a self-made millionaire. I ain't got it yet, but I'm getting there. 30 rounds next to my underwear. Glock 24, get him out of there. When you in the streets, ain't no playing fair. Play with the family, take it there. I just dropped my nuts on them. Got these niggas mad cause I don't fuck with them. If it ain't about a bag that I can't fuck with them. Tryna hurt my family, we gon' up on them. Yeah, we gon' up on them. I just dropped my nuts on them. Got these niggas mad cause I don't fuck with them. If it ain't about a bag that I can't fuck with them. Tryna hurt my family, we gon' up on them. Yeah, we gon' up on them. Gang. We back on that bullshit. A lot of niggas hate, so we gotta keep that broomstick. We got a ball, pockets gotta fill with blue strips. It's Say City 27, yeah, we ruthless. Little nigga, yeah, I'm back on my bullshit. A lot of niggas hate, so we gotta keep that broomstick. We got a ball, pockets gotta fill with blue strips. It's Say City 27, yeah, we ruthless. We getting straight to the top. Back on my bullshit, no, I can't stop. Now 19, no stop. Play with the fan, put him in the box. Look at my neck and my watch. Tryna be me, but nigga, you not. Niggas be talking to cops, but hella quiet when we bid in your blocks. Hey, keep that same energy, cause niggas not friends with me. I'm tryna ball MVP, niggas don't fuck with ring cause they enemies. I give a fuck if we family. Got my check up, now niggas can't stand me. MC bitch, me up next. All you niggas is Kotex. Water down, let it talk when we not around. AM City, we the hottest out. 2020, bitch, we ballin' out. Fuck Corona, we ain't in the drop. Yeah, I'm back on my bullshit. I just got a broomstick, full stick. Please don't make me use it. We back on that bullshit. A lot of niggas hate, so we gotta keep that broomstick. We got a ball, pockets gotta fill with blue strips. It's Say City 27, yeah, we ruthless. Little nigga, yeah, I'm back on my bullshit. A lot of niggas hate, so we gotta keep that broomstick. We got a ball, pockets gotta fill with blue strips. It's Say City 27, yeah, we ruthless. It's they, it's them. They say they're being reverent. The prevalence isn't enough to be a bunch of sediment. Dog dude down on the shoe of the irrelevance. Say they got compassion holding up the fake benevolence. I kinda love it being all alone all the time. Taking the ticks off the watch is such a petty crime. Walking every morning with a coffee and a water view. About to get the day started and they bother you. Don't get me wrong, I love my friends and my family. Calamity if I don't have them in my life. Insanity, a lone white wolf though, taking down the buffalo. Dig the teeth into the back and then it's over under toes. Vertigo, they giving them, vacate the premises. And every single step of this is heavenless in Exodus. Precious is my time, precious is yours too. So don't let them come around and take it all away from you. I've been living in a blizzard as oblivious city. It's infinity, it's pitiless in any sense as big as this. I'm sick of this inventiveness and imitation sentiments. To be agreed, it takes a little more than evidence. Stemming them, I've never been a joined up fool. Telling them I learned a lot to coin these rules. I enjoy to be recluse unless cabooses get exposed. There's a fine line between tearing hearts and tearing clothes, though. So it goes, so they say, so they might as well take up all your time, satisfied, go to hell. Pulling tails, poking eyes, raping ears with no surprise. Cockeyed, bar fly, water around, clock.
We all got choices, but I choose to learn. Rather learn the course first than to crash and burn. Think before I speak, that's how I make my turn. Every step is calculated, battleship, kill confirmed. Build a skill and I whip it like a pistol. Make my shot and I pop Rob Driscoll. To the top, I might be there for a while. And party like a rock star, I am a wild child. But catch a vibe, slow ride, going down 6. When I roll through deep waters, people jump ship. Life a crazy wave and I got a long trip. I ain't tripping off those people who ain't on it. Better make your mark, make your mark. Doing what you do, let that take you far. So I'm steady, rolling, be on my guard. But I'm still chilling like a villain, burn routed in my car. Hey, light one, light two. It's a burn ride, what you tryna do? Spitting knowledge, homie, what you got to prove? We gon' vibe, feeling right, yeah, we always on the move.
Black, not brown, dirty, low down. I am just a seed, you can find me underground. Or maybe downtown where the art scene down. You can smell my sound and we keep it loud. Is it winter, baby, cold like an Eskimo nose? Got my attitude froze like the North and South Post. Catch me candid, no pose, act crazy for my rose. Didn't trade my friends, won't change from my foes. Rocking shell toes like an old school flow. Gotta tend to your roots if you're trying to see growth. Sometimes you gotta prune, cut them off. I don't need you no more. Getting warm off my coat. I'm so classy, take notes. Nah, I'm playing with your ass, man. You know we have a blast. When you finna get your fast, but can't spend that money fast. That throw perm on your bankroll. You need to relax. Get some relaxer. It's raining. Rain on me. The daylight coming through the clouds. I know they hate on me. But when you real don't run your mouth. It's raining. Rain on me. But daylight coming through the clouds. I know they hate on me. But when you real don't run your mouth. It's a butterfly killer. Destroyed the caterpillar. Who really just a fella. Moved on to something realer. But see the caterpillar friends is all mad. I see all you stink bugs tryna go bad. And I don't even know why you bugging off the past. Not my fault, I can't remember no ants. And you ain't call my phone when I was cocooning in the trap. But now that I fly, you wanna buzz me with the zap. And I had dogs' backs like I was a bra strap. And you gave me checks like you in a box, man. I just slide in the coop like I was a foxen. How you sleep on the grind like you playing possum. Every day at the dentist, yeah, you know I'm flossing. And I work this dress, I'm about to clock in. And I heard some nicks, I'm about to break them. Put my red lipstick on, you could.
As opposed to just, you know, setting it aside like laundry or something.
I'm back without famine with a new edition. I'm Tom Glavine on the mound with the round I'm steady dishing with the Barbies and caveman. A Rain Man clockwork, synergy and symmetry is giving me the artwork. Part dirt, part soap, it's my thing. I'm clean with a little bit of film on the widescreen. The show starts now, so get the popcorn. Got me main guy, no matter what he fought for. Fought to fight, and I talk to tell. When I hit the dry spells, then I really gotta yell to calm down the brain. I drive away and hit the forest. Cause if I don't, I freeze up like rigor mortis. I am mentally mad, but I'm eternally rad. I got the burn and the gas, and it's turning me to math. They're home watching MASH and got candles in the bath. I'm longing for the Ponzo when I'm looking through the eyelash. Lashes, come on, please don't take vision. My sight gets diminished with the vision, hold a riddance. Don't say good yet, there's plenty more footsteps. I'm not finished, no way I'm not finished. So lashes, come on, please don't take vision. My sight gets diminished with the vision, hold the riddance. Don't say good yet, there's plenty more footsteps. I'm not finished, no way I'm not finished. I'm watching Tales from the Crypt, eating fish out the fridge, watching flicks all day. I talk to girls who wear the wigs. My shovel, it digs. Jackhammer, tap, tap. Crowbar gets in, and so the hoes need a map. X marks the spot. I pulled the dirt back watch, and I need to break a lemonade and digging in my crotch. Piece of chicken, check the clock. Tick tock on a job, so towels in the sky. Wonder why I gotta walk home. Rockstone yard, a nice kind bit type. Kids roaming around, but are scared after midnight. Less light, more glow. No show can't go, especially when everybody's acting like an asshole. Me too. Put my name on the list, put some aim in the fist, and let the pain that exists get used up all the way, kinda like kindness. So squint the eyelash, the sun doesn't shine.
Yeah. What's up, Anna?
Hey, what's up? I sent you the link for High on the Hog. So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Coolio.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. So
you know we're still on, right?
Yeah, I know.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, I signed off on Facebook because we were mostly just going to be doing music. So you know what? A lot of time I forget when we say goodnight on the show. I forget that my Facebook is still going. So yeah. So okay. So we'll be back next Tuesday the 6th.
Next Tuesday the 6th.
Yeah.
We will be back.
Okay, everybody have a safe 4th of July.
All right now.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Rizzo.
No problem.
Okay, good night. See you soon. I'll be tuning in tomorrow. Duck Soup.
Definitely Duck Soup. You coming on?
Sure. Yeah.